It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, tips plus the world's best quiz. The Cubs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. You're probably thinking, who's this beside me? I'm going to explain who this is in a minute, but I first need to address the Paul Van Bellen situation. So anyone who doesn't know, he started up on Instagram. He's been causing a storm. He's been upsetting people, and it just wasn't good for the brand. So I've kind of had to get rid of him. He's on the naughty step at the moment. I don't like to do it, but it's not good enough. We have had words. We have had a few comments asking for him back. I might have to change the intro. But no, I'm just joking. Of course, we've got him. He's here. He hasn't got anyone.
You thought you'd get rid of me that easily, Ben?
And that's going. But he is on Instagram. If you want to follow him on Instagram, it's his first venture into social media. He's been kicking up a storm. I should actually show you this, because this is his latest post. I think this one's quite good. Like, I don't see anything wrong with this one. We haven't seen many complaints. Is that on? Are you seeing the screen? This one was pretty funny. I'm just going to give you a few ideas. I don't know if anyone saw this. There was a few actually other comments that said, yeah, this is like when you've only got a 5-0 and it's 3-5 weather.
I love the facials. It's so funny.
It's brilliant, isn't it? The thing is, anyone who's raced, or like when you race downhill in your race sail, oh my god, and you haven't got your your ratchet, and then we should obviously, it's not a reel, that's why it hasn't come up. I was thinking this one, and this is going to be very apt for what we're talking about today. Explained. We've got windsurfing, kite surfing, and winging. He's missed wind foiling in there, which is what this is about. So let's get onto this. Let's explain who this is next to me. Obviously, the title of this podcast was "I Hate Foiling." Now, it's not entirely true, because this is what someone sitting next to me said, how many years ago? 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
So when foiling first come out, for the first couple of years, we've had conversations, and he was always like, I hate foiling. This is no way. This is just a fad. It's not even here to stay. It's going to be in there. Now he is a self-confessed absolute jizzing himself off every day, banging on to me about foiling. Who is it? Well, this is Finn Noer, aka Mr. NoerStick. So if you've seen the NoerStick, you've seen it on the channel before. He invented the strange. Actually, I'm going to show you that as well, because I need to set the scene here. So let's just set the scene. Some people might not know what it is. This is the NoerStick. Can you see that? Yeah. So it's basically an extension which it doesn't work like any other extension. You pull a rope, it slides a collar up the mast, which means you can have block to block on any sail you mention. And if you've got it block to block and you want to adjust it, you can just pull it and it'll move the collar up. That's a quick explanation of it. It's a pretty cool bit of tech. And Finn has obviously raced on the World Cup. Well, give me some background, just so people at home can kind of understand your background. When did you start windsurfing? Because you're pretty old now, aren't you?
I'm pretty old, yeah. I'm 57.
57.
57, yeah. I started windsurfing in 82, 83 or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Were you born at that time?
It probably wasn't. Jenna DeRosno, was she around at that time?
Yeah, she was.
Did that have any influence?
Crazy, hot chick.
I've seen her.
Yeah.
She was before my time.
Yeah, but she was here.
I was born in 78, just so you know. So I was 4 when you started windsurfing.
Yeah.
Paul, how old were you?
77.
77,
Oh, yeah.
so 5.
Yeah.
We were probably looking at you in the magazine.
No, I wasn't really in the magazine. I was from Denmark, so we didn't get any attention at all, or very little. No, and then I just started windsurfing, and straight away I felt that as soon as I learned a little bit, I heard about these regattas around the local regattas, and thought, man, it could be fun. It's just like part of my nature to compete. And I started doing that, and just went better and better, and ended up.
Give us some results. Give us some best results, because people, you know, there'll be people who have never heard of you, which is fair enough. He's a super nice guy. I mean, just to give nice guyness, we went to this pizza place last night, and he's there fucking getting drinks for the pizza guys doing us. I'm like, I don't even know half these guys. He's already made friends with them, and that's just how he is. But you've got what, third in the production board worlds?
Yeah, I was beaten by Scott McCurcher, a good friend from Australia. And I came third. That was in 88, 89. I actually had stopped competing at that time. But then they said, Finn, come down for this wave event. And I went down, and it was most of Spain in Ferrol. Amazing waves. And it just turned out to be a good event. I'm actually the kind of person that fires up in a competition. I'm a way better sailor in competition than in freezing. Yeah. Because now in competition, you really have to nail it. Everything. And I really enjoy that pressure, because it's just total satisfaction. Yeah. And that hit me now with the fighting as well.
Yes. But also, I have to say, he is got a streaming company called Stream Factory. Yeah. So if you watched, me and Paul actually were doing it. We did a bit of commentating from remote locations. So I commentated from here in Portugal. Paul was obviously over in Australia, and Finn was in Denmark doing it for free. You know, it's pretty impressive. The whole streaming for the youth and juniors PWA World Cup. So he's got a streaming company, does that. But he's just, so how is all this relevant? Why is he in Portugal right now? Well, he's on the way from Denmark to Tenerife for the TWS training over the winter. So that's kind of interesting. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about a bit of foiling. I want to hear negative and positives, because there is definitely difference of opinion. This guy has been the full 180 from, like, literally, I am not joking. He was anti-foil. This is the biggest load of shit ever. It's never going to take off. Total opposite. Now he goes to me, he goes, oh yeah, I think it's like, tomorrow looks like it's 5-5 weather for foiling. I was like, nobody talks like that, do they? 5-5 for wind foiling. You just say it's 5-0 weather, or now it's 5-5 for wind foiling. I'm like, so it's a total change around. We're also going to obviously have a look at the comments. If you've got any comments about foiling, any stories, any switches that you've seen in your local sort of, you know, like WhatsApp groups or local beach talk. Have you seen more people going towards it? Have you seen people dropping off? We have to talk about winging. I think we are this might lead into a very interesting podcast we've probably got coming up with Mr. Guy Cribb, because he is a full wing-a-ding-dinger now. He is absolutely like he is with wind foiling. Cribby is like with winging. Again, I'm going to talk about my opinions on it. I'm sure Paul's got some opinions. There was a famous video Paul made, I don't know if you saw that, with the Jaws. Did anyone see that?
Oh God, don't bring that up.
That's like, for me, one of the all-time classics. You see it?
Oh God. I'm trying to rebuild my reputation here. That'll just,
I'm trying to crush it down. This was one of the funnier videos I've seen. I have to be honest. I thought it was really good. I don't even know what you called it.
I actually hate watching my videos. It's like listening to yourself talk.
Wow, but speaking to the right guy, I end up hearing myself talk the whole time. It's not so easy to find you, actually.
Oh, so Finn, are you doing mainly wind foiling or winging?
It's on the windsurf floor. On the windsurf board.
Wind foiling.
So, but it was pretty funny how everything started, because I was some of my good friends like Sebastian Cornum, who's also on the PWA tour now, super talented windsurfer. He's doing so good, even he's so light as he is. He's told me since it ever came up that, Finn, you should try this. And I always told him that, hey, Sebastian, this is just something that's going to be fun for 1 year and smart. They want to sell equipment. It's nothing for me. I said that for the last 4 or 5 years. And then I went to, actually took down for having fun on Tenerife for a month with my girlfriend and my family. And I was watching the TVS training. And after 2 weeks of watching this training, and the foilers were winning every single race, it just killed all my arguments for not trying it. And then I went into it. I bought actually some stuff from Matteo Iachino and from Blanca. And don't buy from the pros because that is the wrong way to go. So you need to be getting the right stuff, like learning to windsurf, get a big board, you know. This one the same, get a big foil, not a small one that I got. So I was like hammered for the first 3 days. I said, why did I go into this? And I was actually more or less blue all over the body. But then suddenly I found a little bit of technique into, because you never know what was happening. You just took off and you didn't know what shall I do now? You were never ready for the next step before it was too late. So a lot of good smashes. But actually that TWS training where I saw everybody was faster on the course.
So for people who don't know, the TWS training is basically, TWS is Tenerife Windsurf Solutions, like one of the windsurfing centers in Tenerife, and they've been running slalom training over the winter. So the top pros go, they pay some money per week. I think you can pay per week.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so like a weekly thing that you pay for. And then they have different levels. So they have group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, depending on how many people they are. And they're set up into levels. So group 1 will be the total professionals, Jordi Bonk, Matt Czech-Rakowski, Matteo Iachino, these type of guys who are racing it out. And then the second group will be, you know, the top national sailors probably, or
also some PWAs now and then.
Yeah, some PWAs who drop down, and I think you can advance from one group to the other.
Yeah, if you're doing good, it's totally like normal regatta, and it's super well organized. I mean, it is pure fun because there's nothing with an early start. I mean, there is a recall then, and it's filmed like top pro. So everybody's like on the toes to do a good start, and they're learning a lot, and then during the week, if you are advancing and you're maybe there for 3 weeks, 4 weeks training, they just put you up to another group. I haven't got that yet, but
what group are you in? Because you did it a little bit last year.
Yeah, I did it this year. Yeah, I did actually. It was so funny because I was like, shall I go into this training? I haven't been windsurfing regatta for 30 years, like on a race board and all this and slalom boards. And then I went out there. My first start, I was probably 40 seconds late at the start. Everybody was gone. When I entered the start line, everybody was gone. And I had so much fun during the whole day. Even I was so bad at the starts. Every single one. I couldn't remember where to put my start watch, and everything was like, whoa, chaos. And I had so much fun when I got back to the beach. I said to Matteo and Blanca, this is the funniest day I had for windsurfing for so long. I was last in every heat by miles. And they said, what? Yes, I'm just back in this. It's just, I'm fired up now. I have so much fun. And they were actually, I could see that they enjoyed seeing a totally amateur like me having so much fun on the same course. Yeah, and that was.
So what group you were in? Last group?
Third, yeah. There's no less.
Okay.
Should have been a fourth.
So you were like the lowest of the low.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
And where did you end up? Did you go up from there?
Yeah, when the guys drops out, and when there was a group, 2 groups left, then you're in group 2, then there's 1 group left, then you're group 1.
So you ended up in group 1?
Yeah, because there was only 1 group. So, but the thing is, I didn't really know that I would like having this totally good feeling on being on the race course, because I hadn't been doing it for 30 years, like full on. I was, fuck, this is fun. And then I realized on the foil as well, it's not like when I was on a fin board after one race, you're just totally exhausted because you need to be powered fully up. But on the foil, it was like, okay, let's have another race. Let's have another one. And
so it's easier because you're
so much easier.
I don't mean to keep going on about your old age.
No.
You are 57.
I'm 57, and I'm getting more tired by rigging the gear than being actually on the foil. And that is not even, it's almost not bullshit.
Interesting.
Carrying this stuff down, but as soon as you're there, when you find the right trim, your hands is.
And so again, there's going to be people watching this, and let us know. I'm definitely want to hear some comments because it is interesting for me, because I still have not found my wind foiling mojo. I like it. I've got a few different setups which I like. I've got like a short fat board, which obviously is not a race board, but it's fun to mess around and play around, and it's kind of like a semi wing board and a windsurf board. And then my foiling sort of race setup is more like a free race setup, but I don't have specific foiling sails. What is the biggest game changer in terms of setup? Because I feel we've had quite a few years where people have been getting the wrong advice, or it was early and they bought stuff that maybe doesn't suit them. How do you know this? What you're looking for in your experience? Obviously, this might change.
I think the worst thing to do is to get something too small to begin with on the foil
What?
side.
Give me some specific
It's
size.
like, maybe it's called 1600 square centimeters or something. The front wing.
Okay, so
and
that's
the
big.
back wing maybe, and the
So
back
that's
wing
big.
maybe,
That's like beginner
it's like
size.
huge. It means that you start foiling, you probably lift off with 5 knots, or not at high speed. So you don't need the high speed to lift off. Like, it's similar to jets, flying around, or like this one just floating in the wind. So with these big foils, you feel very safe and comfortable, because you're not gonna be full on and then you take off and you explode. So getting the right big foils, and this beginner.
But as soon as you get speed, surely that big foil becomes scary because it's too much lift.
Yeah, if you then want to go racing when you get up, and just go full on pulling in, going for the speed, it's not made for that.
Okay.
So you have to balance, but all the balance.
But do you have to buy that foil, learn that, and then buy another foil? Can't you just?
If you can buy, but I mean, what you find those so cheap online? I'm a little bit like intimidated when people say, "Oh, foiling is so expensive." It doesn't have to be. It costs like maybe 200 euros, and you have a complete alpha to learn to begin with. And after the 2 weeks, maybe you find, oh, it's not funny anymore. You just sell it for 200 quid again.
Okay.
So then you can actually just see it by entry, and a lot of the old boards, like old whatever slalom boards, has actually a foil ready box in it. So you don't have to be an expensive experience. My advice is to look as much on YouTube if you have no friends around you that can explain it to you. And don't think you're better than the other ones. Just take the step by step. Big foil, learn it, take it easy, go down when you feel safe. Smaller, until you say this is.
So level. What you're saying, most important thing is the foil, getting that the right size. Board, you can use a big slalom board. You don't need a foil board, or
you don't need
foil board easier?
Yeah, it's way easier. It's super stable, and going on these 85, 90 centimeters wide. A lot of volume. You got these 160, 170 liters volume. It's super nice, and it's super stable, and it lifts you up. And then there's a lot of technical stuff, like remember to get your front foot into the foot strap before actually taking off, because but that's actually a video you should make one day, just to do step by step to make it super easy.
You know what? I mean, people who follow the channel might know this. I'm going to speak to Paul in a minute, see if he's done much foiling, but I did make some early foiling videos when it first came out, but I feel it was like that first step into it, and then there needs this adjustment period. Yeah. And I feel like it's now probably the next stage. I think everything's been ironed out a little bit better now. Yeah. And I think the information out there is way more clearer. Not for me. I've got stuff going off all over the place. Because I was speaking to you, and we went foiling the other day, just so you know, and he gets his phone out with his iPhone with his some sort of like spirit level. And it's like, ooh, your foil's 1.5 degrees. And I'm like, yeah.
That's where you get into
it should be 3 degrees. And I'm like, I have no clue, and that's me, who's actually quite educated, and I spend a lot of time around these guys, but I'll be honest, I haven't educated myself as much as I should do. And that is me just in general. A lot of my time I like to foil, but foiling, you do need to be a bit techers. A little bit.
Or you need some help. I mean, that comes to you automatically, because I was like in the beginning, I said, oh my God, I'm never going to learn all this small front wing, big front wings, angles, or all these angles and whatever. How shall I even comprehend that? How shall I take it in? And suddenly you start, like, magically wise, you just start understanding how things behaviors between front wing, back wing, the angle of it, to the pitch, and how when it will take off with you, slowly learning. And it's super interesting. It's like a lot of wave sailing,
Because you're like a windsurfer reborn. That's how I explain it. Like these guys who are like born again Christians, and they start preaching to everyone.
No, man,
it's literally.
I am a little bit.
He's been here. How many days you been here?
I have been preaching.
How many days have you been here?
4 or 5 days.
Fucking hell, I've never heard so. I'm motivated. I'm already
4 or 5 days.
It started.
No, I was actually pretty happy. When you get older, I've been doing a lot of slalom and waves, and you feel it a little bit in your knees now and then.
Yeah.
And now you realize you can go for 4 or 5 hours. You just go back for getting a sip of water.
It's like e-biking. All the pleasure.
It's the e-bike of the windsurf world. I like it.
He's an e-bike.
I've got the e-bike. I've been giving him shit. He's got these gravel bikes. Him and his girlfriend have been pedaling around with all the lycras on, and I'm just on the e-bike with loads of suspension.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, no, but it's really a big pleasure. I think that an interesting thing about the wing foiling the wind foiling is that for the last, before I started actually 5-10 years, I was like, should I get one of these Dagger boards, the new made harbor and everything is perfect starboard, and somebody else makes them. But I thought they were a little bit too expensive. But I want to go traveling around the islands and have fun and always
full longboard.
Yeah, full longboard with Dagger board and all these kind of things. And I thought I like to go out, explore with a friend or something, and make sure I can go back home. Doesn't matter if the wind just drops. But luckily, I didn't buy any of those because I actually have the foil. I had the idea. I have the feeling it is a combination of a Dagger board experience and a slalom board. You can go wherever you want, full speed, full time. And you have with this 150 liters of volume under 60, a big thing underneath you in case the wind drops totally. Always go back to shore. So you don't have this, I have to, what is the weather forecast looking like? And then you just go fast everywhere, all directions. And it's full on thrilling. I must say that my heartbeat is high sometimes because I know I crash. It's just about when it is happening. So it is really, yeah.
Well, what about the length of this foil in the water? Because where I windsurf around here, you're often sailing over relatively shallow kind of waters, and I'm often thinking if I had a foil, I would just be hitting the bottom a lot. I mean, is that much of an issue when you get into this? Or I mean, obviously you can just go in the deep water in the ocean. I get that, but you do find yourself windsurfing often in parts where it gets shallow. But I don't know. I guess you just avoid that, do you? I mean, you just don't go close to shore. Yeah,
I had some accidents where I thought it was deep enough, but it wasn't. Where I was full on. I just suddenly could see the bottom, and a brand new front wing exploded. And okay. So you have to know your area somehow, some kind of. Mine F4 foils are probably the 101. That's 101 centimeter depth, so it has to be like a little bit more than that.
How much is a foil setup these days? Maybe people at home know better than me, but 2,000, 1,000. I mean, I guess it depends.
It depends. Like,
so it ranges as far as I would be guessing. It ranges from the basic foils around 1,000, 800,000.
Yeah, even cheaper if you get these beginner.
Plus the second-hand one.
Yeah, or the beginner alpha, you can get a brand new. But I would never suggest anyone to buy a brand new alpha.
Yeah.
I would never suggest anyone to buy a brand new beginner board as well.
It's the same.
I just want to go rid of it as soon as possible when you find the confidence of being on the gear.
Yeah, you kind of want that sort of beginner circle where things just keeps getting passed around and passed around. I've got it with a wingboard actually. I've got a big wingboard, which I don't point selling. But anyone who wants to learn to wing around here, I just go, take that for a couple of weeks. Yeah, you'll be off it. Yeah, within
And you don't want to. Yeah,
you don't want to buy. You don't need to buy one.
No, exactly. So so and then it takes off maybe 1,000 euros, 1,500 euros, and it just there's not a.
What's the top limit? What's like the top of the range crazy money?
I know some of them have just launched some really crazy but super cool stuff. I got that is sort of F4 that is making a carbon with some titanium inside the wings, and it's super stiff. And so I just actually got it here, so it was not even. It's not. Yeah, it's just entered the market. I think probably I was the first customer. Just I need this one. I need this one. I sold a house some years ago. I'm just spending all of it now on foiling. Sorry, can't help it. It's but it's they are probably costing just the front wing of those ones 1,000 euros, 15.
Just for the front wing.
Just for the front. But that is the most expensive I've seen until now.
Okay. But that's not just the wing. That's a molded piece.
That's one molded piece. The front I actually said to you it's molded piece.
Hang on, let me see.
It's pretty cool because that looks like something from outer space. Honestly, it looks like
Not very.
It is.
But maybe I've got the video.
Yeah.
Is that it? See if that works.
This is, you see the front wing there. It's just one piece, half, and everything is molded out.
Okay, so it's not just the front wing.
No,
that's
it's,
the full.
It's half the fuselage, and it's half the front wing in different sizes.
Okay.
And you see the back wings coming in now in the picture, like, and when you stand with that in your hands, you don't have to be naughty, but you almost get a little bit naughty.
Okay, so that's the front wing and the fuselage in one.
And then you attach the back wing also, like underneath the. But you look at the look.
Are you getting like a semi watching this? Is that?
I'm getting a semi. I was actually. Should I leave this podcast because it's getting windy out there? I want to try those foils. It is. Not even tried it out. It looks like the best I ever seen on the market. I haven't never seen.
So what's that?
Like
that's a 540.
Yeah.
And a 620. So that's. I mean, I've been speaking to the guys. Obviously, I'm doing the commentary for the World Cup. So I know it was very easy before. They would all just go, right, this is the span, or this is the area. But it isn't as easy now, is it? Because I know the few of them say, 540. But if it's a different brand, maybe it's thinner.
Yeah.
So it's just a rough guide to what you're using. So a 540 is a small wing.
Yeah, that
for most.
Yeah, I would use it on 7.7.
Okay,
and I would use
not super small.
No, but I would be using on that, and then I would take the 620 on the 8.8.
Okay, so if you wanted a 6.0 like windy stuff, 5.5, 6, but you'd be on something smaller.
I have a 400 in another, also some another one, but not in this new setup because they're running out of that product. But definitely gonna have it. But yeah, then you just, because it's also, you also need to. The more right everything is, the more control, the more safe it also is to be out there. And it goes pretty fast. You easily go 30 knots, or easily it's not, but you do high speeds, and you see the pros going 37, and even if Nicolas going 43 or something crazy. Yeah, that's from another world.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
But they are so fast, and they are so
interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting.
Right, I'm going to have a look at a few comments because I did see a few.
Yeah, this comment from Paul, which was related to the Insta post I put up, but he's saying that a lot of kiters have switched over to winging. And what do you guys think about this? Because that's the word on the street over here. I'm seeing probably a few less kiters and obviously a few more wingers. So they seem to be taking some of the kiters away. Well, the winging anyway.
I think winging is a very good combo of windsurfing and kite surfing together. So it is taking people from either side. Like, I see the appeal. I've done a bit of winging. I get it. I also don't get it sometimes. Like, just for the record, I love windsurfing, just normal windsurfing. But I do believe different toys for different venues, for different things. If you can afford it, there is nothing wrong with having a load of toys in the van. Like, I'm a big fan of toys, and I've definitely got wing gear. So there's definitely venues which, let's say they've got softer waves, softer rolling waves, with a little break on them. I can imagine for the majority winging, people would love that, because if you're not getting the full-on wind and you've got these kind of soft rolling waves, you can play around and it looks a bit crap. I genuinely think, people might disagree, I think it looks crap, but the feeling on it with a foil, and this goes for wind foiling as well, the feeling is different to the visual. The feeling is of power underneath you. So when you're riding a wave on a wing, let's say, or on a wind foil, the drive off it from the beach looks terrible, but when you're on it, the drive feels like you are absolutely gouging like the sickest verts wave ever. And all you're doing is pressing off the foil on a bit of swell, and you come in like, what? Did you see that? And everyone's like, well, no, shit. Nothing happened. You just did like a little S turn. You're like, whoa. So I kind of know that, and like I do here. The problem is in Portugal, just my situation. We got the West Coast, which the waves pretty gnarly most of the time, and when they do break, it breaks quite shallow. Or you've got the South Coast, which is kind of flat if it's the normal north wind. And the flat water on the wing, I picked it up pretty quick, I would say. And I got kind of bored quite quickly with it, for me, with the setup I had. And then on the West Coast, the waves were a bit too gnarly. So it didn't really fit with me. But then I see other venues, like Clipmore is probably a good one where Finn lives, where he's got his house.
Yeah,
there's a place called the Fish Factory.
Yeah, that's in Hanstholm. I would say,
and that's like a slopey, long,
super, very like
relaxing,
easygoing
wave.
I would say
many wingers. Must be.
There is a lot, and there I would also say that's way easier to learn as the windsurfing thing. But I don't understand the windsurfers that takes the winging up and not continue on the windsurfboard with the foil. And that I don't understand.
You know what? I can explain it.
Okay.
This is what I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
So my explanation is
a lot.
If you're a wave sailor or a freestyler and you want to go in lighter winds, you want to go out in suboptimal wave conditions, winging really does fit and fill this nice little empty hole. And people like to fill those holes with something. So that I feel like winging is for more freestylers, wave sailors. Whereas I think if you're a racer or you are into free ride or long distance or that side of it, you're more likely to go down the wing foiling route. You might do a bit of winging as well, but I can see where the attraction of the speed, the racing, the settle down, the solid, with winging, it's totally different, and it is more
playing around
and messing around, which you can do on wing foiling stuff. I've got some wing foiling stuff which I use, like it's like a big wing board, like 135, but the board feels small when you're windsurfing it, and I just chuck my wave sail on it, and I've got a few friends around here who do that. Again, it just fills that low end gap without having to rig a race sail, without having to do anything else. You just put your normal wave sail and you're good. So that's my personal take on it. It'd be interesting to see what the comments say. Again, we're going to get Cribby on for the next podcast, and I think that'll be quite a big subject because he is a frother, I should say, when it comes to winging. That's for sure. What's the comments saying?
Well, this one. I just got to where the majority of my jobs are flying or at foiling speed on a foil, and I love it. There's not enough wind here usually for me to get good fin jibe. Yeah, actually, that's another thing, isn't it? The jibing. When you watch the racing, especially, they were just full speed jibing. Whereas with fin racing, you need a fair bit of wind still, don't you? Well, especially if it's choppy. Anyway, I noticed the foil does have a bit of a speed advantage there. Yeah. But I was going to say, Finn, what do you think? And Ben, I've spoken to a few mates, here about the whole, especially the winging thing. But do you think that when you get into it, it'll sustain people for years and years and years? I mean, is it the sort of sport that you think you do after a few years, and then you'll be like, okay, I've sort of been there, done that.
Which one are we talking about?
What's next? Oh, okay. Well, I guess in this case, maybe winging, because that's obviously more the newer kid on the block, or so to speak. But a lot of sports obviously have their booms. They sort of taper off and then they drop off, and you're left with the diehards. I'm just wondering that trajectory with winging, how that'll go. Do you think it's obviously booming at the moment, but
I never tried winging. I actually never tried it, not because I don't want to.
Okay.
Other stuff, but I never tried it, and I have an opinion.
My opinion is, I think it will, but it will obviously depend on where you're at and what your local scene is doing. I really believe, if you go to Pozo, they do wing there, but it's never overtaking windsurfing because they have so much wind that windsurfing is at its peak there. Coronation, yes, you're going to get wingers, but you're always going to have windsurfers. I believe. I think the condition is good, although Corals is probably good for winging as well, actually. Got a lot of downwind. Winging, I think it will have its place. I think it is a good combination of and like I said, I think it's stealing more kiters than windsurfers, if I'm honest. Or maybe
that's how it feels. That's what it feels like here. Yeah. I think the thing, again, it's just super. It's all to do with the conditions that you've got around you, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, around here in Geraldton, we're spoilt for wind, so windsurfers, sort of dominate. But I can imagine if you live somewhere, not super strong winds and rolling swells, foiling's the way to go for sure.
You've also got to remember, it was the same when kiting came out. A lot of the windsurfers have been windsurfing a long time. They maybe plateaued, and they needed a new challenge without like risking themselves. So there's a lot of guys, and I hate to say this, but they never learned to forward loop, or they never learned to go the next level, and they got stuck at their carb jibe and going up and down and up and down. And they've been doing it for 20 years. And then kiting came along, and they were like, wow, I can now be doing new stuff without going crazy. And now you can probably imagine those kiters have got to that point in kiting where they're not doing mega loops or kite loops and shit, and they're bored of just going up and down jumping. So like, a new challenge. And you're using the same skills you have as a windsurfer, and they're crossing over quite nicely. So you're not starting at the bottom. So you've got this upper hand, and you're still involved with the same crowd, the same group of people, but there's a new energy, and I think it's the same energy you see when people go on holiday. They live somewhere in Germany on a lake, or in the UK when they're not getting much conditions, and they go on holiday to, I don't know, Pozo, and it's windy every day, and you see them, they're just instantly like, oh my God, windsurf is fucking amazing. Or, someone hasn't windsurfed for years, maybe they've had kids, and they bring out the old kit because the forecast has been so good for like months that they can't now get it out of their head. If the forecast is only good for a week, they go, oh, it's not enough. If it's like every week, and they're like, fucking, I still windy. Maybe I'm going to get that kit out. And they go, and I've met people like this, and they're like, oh my God, especially in COVID, why didn't I do this sooner? Oh, this is the best feeling ever. I should never have, people forget how it feels to windsurf. And that type of mentality, I think, is the people who have windsurfed a lot want a new thing. And again, wing foiling, which is the racing side, the long distance side, winging won't take that. Although I'm seeing a lot of people doing the downwind stuff now on the wing. That is becoming like kiting is. You drop them off upwind, and then they play on the waves. And again, it feels like you're absolutely shredding it. You're not visually because it just doesn't look like that, but the feel is good.
I know, yeah. But with the windsurfing, the wind fighting there, I can see places in Denmark, Vedlev. A lot of old people like me or older, they jump on the wind fight now, and they said, like me some years ago, never gonna happen. Finn is the only thing. You need to feel the water. You need all this. And now I think everybody in that club is like 50 or 100 people. They are just flying around on their foils in this little fjord.
It's so efficient.
It's so funny to see that they're actually, I'm not the only one being like turning this 180 degrees. As soon as people just turn a little bit, they just.
Actually, I just remembered. Have I got a clip of you doing any of this, just so people know you can actually do it?
Yeah.
I think he's like miles in the background, but I think we should at least show. Or maybe I haven't got it.
Yeah. So Finn, when you're on an easy, when you're on like an easygoing sort of a foil.
Sorry.
Yeah, when you're on like an easy. Hold on, no, actually, hold on a second. We'll watch this video.
Well, you can see him. Can you spot him? This is Lake Garda. It's obviously busy. A lot of windsurfers.
In the red house.
But look at the guy in the middle flying.
You can probably see the red one out there in the back. But this was in.
If you're watching on your phone, you might not see.
There was just
a lot of people out there.
Maybe.
Is this just a typical day in Lake Garda? Looks like
I know.
That's probably a quiet day, isn't it?
I was down there to help. I was actually down there to help Maciek caddying for him.
Yeah, we should say that he is a caddy that's won a World Cup, because Maciek won the World Cup that Finn caddied for.
Nice. I didn't realize. I knew Lake Garda was popular. I didn't realize it was that popular. Wow.
So that's probably not even a busy day, but it's just the thing. And then the thing with, I've been doing a lot of wave sailing, and but in wave sailing you kind of always have control. You know what you're doing. It doesn't matter if the waves are big, as long as you've got a good board and the rail grips good and the bottom turn and the top, jumping and etc. But with foiling, my adrenaline is higher than it's ever been on the wave sailing, because I know I'm going to crash hard at some point, but I don't know when it's going to happen. Because I like this pushing it, and it's just. I think also we actually have a picture for one crash.
Yeah, but you can't show pictures on this.
Oh, you can't.
So if you got it on your phone, I can show them.
Oh,
you do get some pretty big. I don't want to put people off, but I mean,
no, but
I've had some
that was just
big
an
crashes on the old Windfoil.
Yeah, what do you think about the crashing, mate? I mean, obviously, if you catapult on a fin board, it's never pleasant, but you most of the time. Ooh,
see that?
That was just the arm.
That.
Yeah. What is that?
Right.
It looks worse than it is, I think, because
streaky bacon.
It
You're
is
Danish.
Danish bacon. No, it's
But Finn, what do you think about the catapult sitch with the foils? Because when you do it on a fin board, you do sail away, maybe with a slightly bruised ego. But when you see the wind foiling, you're already up to a meter above the water, and everything just looks so much more violent. I mean, what's the?
It is just.
Is it a bit more?
Yeah, I feel it's totally violent. I never get used to it. I have a good friend of me, Johan Sø, for example. Everybody knows this guy. He don't care, and he's just even how fast he ever goes. He's like, but I mean,
he's 20. He's 20 years old, right?
Yeah,
he's 20.
Yeah, he's 20 years old. Yeah, and often he doesn't do that often. Luckily for him, but I do care, and it's very very frightening every time. But I don't want to frighten people from going into fighting. So it's like it's so funny, and you can also decide yourself if you're going to crash more or less, depending on how hard you want to press the button of the speed. You see that even on the luteries. Not everybody crash down the course, but some of them that are really on the edge, they lose the grip on the fin.
I'm just trying to find. There's a quick release harness.
Yeah, there's this French. It's a French one. I think that's a very, very good thing. I really would like to. I don't remember.
I remember seeing it. I was just going to show because it was kind of interesting because I mean that just goes to show how brutal those crashes that can be. That you need a quick release like hook. Is that it?
Is that? No. Wait, Ben, do you know if that harness is any can be used in fin sailing? I mean, is that like an innovation?
Yeah. I think you set it up.
You set it with the weight when you release.
Yeah.
So when you start like getting your catapult, it actually releases.
But it's very difficult, I heard, to get the pressure right straight away. So you might end up not getting it right straight away, and it can unhook when you're sailing unless.
I'm sure it's going to work perfectly when you get it set up because the top guys are using it. I saw Enrico Marotti and several other guys are on that hook. Of course, Nicolas Guillard is using it as well.
Yeah, I can't find it.
But I'm sure the hook itself is it's a very good adventure. Not adventure.
It's a good idea.
It's very clever made, and it is needed kind of. It's like an airbag. Helping you.
Yeah, I mean, the guys were telling me it basically stops them breaking booms and masts and all sorts because it's not the initial one; it's when they hit the water and then they carry on, and then that is what breaks the equipment. Yeah. Someone got it made in France. Free ride addicted. There we go. I mean, I'm going to find it because I think for the guys who are watching on YouTube, it's quite cool.
There's a question. A question here for you, Finn. Sorry, it says Lego's asking how fast do foilers typically go in 20 to 25 knots?
In 20 to 25 depends on who's on the foil, and actually, but I would say in 20 to 25 knots, that's 10 minutes. They are probably, I would say, like Jody Wong and those guys, they're going 30, 33, 34, 35, maybe 36. Also depends on the water, etc. I think there's
what are you doing? Like, because that's quite an interesting one.
I'm going approximately 30 knots when I do my best, and that's not.
It's because I was going to make a video. Is a realistic target for me 30 knots? Yeah, that's scary, isn't it?
It's scary when you go.
But would it make a good video trying to go faster than 30 knots? I'm probably going to crash.
No, but you will be able to. But you need to get into trim. The trim is everything.
Okay, but is it an interesting video? 30 knots, is that a good enough target?
Yeah, I think
I haven't been anywhere near that. I've done 23.
Yeah, but I think that's a very good target to go for. Okay. 30 knots is super fast.
That's what I was going to say. So I think that could be quite an interesting.
So when these guys are going so fast, when we see them in the World Cup,
can you guys see that?
Yeah, that is the one.
Ah.
I would really like to get one of those.
Geez, it looks like a sort of product that you'd make, Finn. Sort of within the NoerStick kind of style of product.
Yeah. It's but that's innovation, no? When windsurfing at its best, because they really have a demand for something that helps you out in a critical situation, and this one solves that cool. For many people. And I'd rather stop by hitting the water and then stop slowly than like this instant stop where you feel your neck and you feel the whip in the back. You feel that for days sometimes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean,
I think it's a super good thing, and I would really love to get hold of it. Just
are they expensive? Do we know?
That's €200, 200 something. I think it's.
So if it saves you a mast,
but it saves you I remember
a rib.
Yeah, even I said Marachi is using it. I think he's using it. He almost broke all his ones.
Chris says, don't forget to readjust. Don't forget to readjust the tension if you switch between, fin and foil.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Otherwise...
That makes sense.
How many of the guys in Japan, Ben, do you think were using that? Any ideas? Or
there's not that many. No. There isn't many. It's a lot of the speed guys. I know Nico Goya definitely use it with the speed stuff because I guess they are just so on the edge. The racers, I guess the scary thing would be if they get the. This is just me guessing. I haven't heard this from people, but I would imagine if you get it wrong and it releases in a race, like under just severe tension, but racing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, you could just throw away your whole regatta if you got the tension wrong. I'm not saying that is a thing, but that would worry me. It's an extra thing that could go wrong.
The thing is actually with the foiling, you can still go okay fast. Not as fast, but you can. I know Bruno Martini. He had some issue with a harness liner or a harness that broke during the 1 hour classic in Legata.
Okay.
And he was sailing 1.5 leg without.
Wow.
Winning still with a big mark.
Jesus.
So it was, I think that was on the foil. I'm pretty sure because that would not be possible on the fin.
So just going to answer a few questions just about this hook while we're on there. Virgil says, Finn, is this some gear you don't have? Like, oh my God, like this guy's got everything. I actually looked into this several times, and then I wanted to. The thing, as I remember when I looked into it, was that it has to fit the harness you buy. And I also knew which harness I wanted to get. Of course, I would like to have this one from Japan. I don't even remember the name. Got it.
Yeah, I got it too. But of course, I didn't want to buy an expensive harness. Yeah, the Liberty. And that's
There's a lot of people using that for foiling. I tested it on the fin the other day, and it was like. It was good. I could feel it, but I think the foil, where you sit down, because I mean, just for people who don't know, on the foil, the top racers are using like 45 lines.
Yeah.
45.
Probably.
Put that in perspective. Most people think my 32s. I made a rigging video yesterday, and there's quite a few comments going, "Oh my God, those harness lines are massive." The guys are using 45s. I think some maybe even longer, like ridiculous.
So, depending on how much wind.
And why is that? Because you're hanging off you.
Yeah, I think it. And the more wind, the longer.
How long are yours?
I have that's the dirty one. This is pretty long. It's I think my line is 42 or something. Yeah.
Yes, 42 is frigging long. There was a question saying, do you lose the hook? No. The hook kind of springs up and then you kind of reload it. As far as I understand, it's it's got like a hinge on it, which under pressure comes out.
But there are these different models, so it has to fit to where your harness lock and everything. And I just want to get the right one because definitely something I would love to have.
Yeah, William says I may have missed this earlier, but I get between 5 and 15 knots on average on my spot. Average wind is about 10 to 12 knots. I use a Falcon light wind with an 8.5 sail. Any recommendation on a foil size? Does that mean he's
on the Falcon Fanatic? That's a slalom board.
So he's getting that 5 to 15 knots. Oh, the wind, not the speed.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I was going to say I'm not being rude. No. Okay, 5 to 15 knots. So in terms of foil, it's very difficult, isn't it? This is where the problem lies. If I was on windsurfing, I would have no problem in saying this. So 5 to 15 knots. I have, for example, I've got like a slalom simmer style foil. It's like a full carbon. And when I showed it to Matt Jack, he's like, that thing is massive. It's like an IQ. So I've got the front wing of mine's 920. Now, I didn't think that was that big because I've not really been into foil. I just go on it. It's fine. I go like mid-20s, like 20, like, and it feels like I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
But I've just got a 720 wing, which I now know is still too big. So I probably need to go even smaller. So for this guy, 5 to 15 knots, maybe.
I would say for this guy,
920. Like,
yeah.
You know, going on what you said to me about this.
5, you would not be able to.
No, you need something bigger for that.
Yeah, you would. No, but you said 10 to 15 knots. You'll not be able to do it before 10 knots, I think.
But you could if you've got a bigger foil.
Yeah, but then it's a lot about activating the foil, because
you've got to be very active.
Don't just wait for the wind to pick you up out of the water. You have to activate it like pumping, so your board gets free of not sticking to the surface.
Yeah.
And suddenly the foil just takes over and you're off. And when you're flying, you don't need anything. Sometimes when I've been practicing my jibes in light wind and I fall down, I said, but there's no wind. How could I just be flying like?
Yeah.
And
that is definitely the thing you'll notice. If it's 5 to 15 in terms of the lulls are 5 and the gusts are 15, it's actually good for foiling because it's quite gusty here in Martinel, Portugal. And the thing is, like Finn said, if you have a 5-knot lull, you can glide through it.
Yeah, just continue.
Because there's no friction from the board, or there's less friction.
Just pump a little bit and you see the next gust and you just...
Jesus.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you, Ben. Bless you, mate. I've got a question for you, Finn. So you're obviously frothing on foiling at the moment, but what sort of conditions do you see yourself using a fin now? I mean,
on a wakeboard.
Okay, I was just wave. Yeah. Okay, so just wave saying. Yeah.
Yeah, on the wakeboard, because most places where I live, I can always bring a foil in that is deep enough. If I was living a little bit further south in Videsanda, it's a place where they also have the World Cup, or had the World Cup several times. It's very flat.
It's like a big lagoon.
It's a big lagoon, yeah. And that is that it takes you 20 or 30 minutes or even more to get out where it's deep enough for foiling. So that would never be the spot for me to go foiling, but that's perfect for fin. And it's not that I don't like fin sailing. I think it has amazing things to. I have good fun on it. I had
so
a lot.
Do you like the foiling because it's a new challenge? Yeah, I get. Is that the main reason?
The main reason is it was pretty difficult to learn. Yes, it's a big challenge to learn it. But I also thought it was like it's a totally like when I was on the boards with the dagger board, and suddenly but you cannot. There's something they call slalom boards. That were back in the 80s or something, and they said, but that's just when. How can you get back? And then you started learning that, and it's pretty funny. And then so you can also go in the waves, and there are 3 fins or 5 fins under the boards at that time. And this is just another part of windsurfing that I wanted to try it after I could see how fast it was, and I thought I wanted to be fast on the course in case.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
But you're talking more about racing. So we probably didn't cover this earlier. There is a plan that he's got, which he's got some goals for this year. So he's going to Tenerife training. His one goal is to beat the fastest woman in the world.
She knows that.
Blanca Alabao is his target. There is a target on her ass, which sounds wrong, but in racing terms, because you're behind her.
Yeah, always.
Okay.
Yeah, she's so,
that should have been the thumbnail, actually.
No, but that is honestly no. And I'm also going to lose weight because I can see these light girls. They're, I don't know, 55, 60 kilos, but they are so fast.
How fast Blanca going? I didn't actually look at her top speed.
No, I don't.
She has got the world GPS.
I don't know how fast they go, but they are compared to. And you know that we had this phrase, "Fat is fast," and I look at me, I should be faster than her, but I'm not. And then I told her last year when I left, I said, "Blanca, have a goal for next year." What's that thing? I want to beat you in one of those races here.
Okay.
And she,
so your goal is to beat her, but then I've also heard you were planning to come back from this training and do some of the German.
Yeah, I think the German events should be amazing because they're very well organized. What I heard, I did them also 30 years ago. Very well organized. I can take my car, my girlfriend and I. We can just jump in the car, have a nice weekend, do some racing. And I would also say this: I would not be fighting if there was nothing new to learn or any races, because that's the person I am.
So the racing is the big.
The racing is a big thing for me because I really enjoy competing, and I would probably not be doing it that much. And then I would just get an ordinary foil for going around an island with some friends 5 times a year, and just stay to my wakeboard. But with the racing scene there is, and being able to drive around within a few hundred kilometers for a good event, I really look forward to that.
See, that's interesting because I think I would.
But not everybody's like me, like race.
No,
guys,
but I talked about this the other day. Like I grew up on the racing scene, and that was one of the big things for me. And we've talked about it with Paul, which is what is the thing that keeps you coming back windsurfing. People have got different ideas. For me, it's that whole community, social side, as well as the. So listening to you talking there, you like the idea of you're going away for the weekend with a purpose. So you're not just aimlessly going to sit on some beach somewhere and sun yourself or go see a castle. You're going there with sport in mind. You're going there, you're going to meet a load of like-minded people so you can nerd it out talking about foils and stroking each other's foils and whatever. I mean, you literally walk straight into a friend group. Pretty much. Because you've all got something in common. And you're seeing different places and you've got this then goal. So it kind of ticks, for me anyway, I'm the same. It ticks a lot of boxes. I kind of miss that whole UK competition scene. I'm not talking like you have to be like crazy competitive or whatever, but just having to beat someone. Racing is so good. And I've said it before on the Idiot's Guide to Slalom that I've done. It doesn't matter where you are in the fleet. You will end up with someone. Every race there will be there. And it's like, okay.
And that's the battle.
And then that's your new battle. So
is.
in the German Championships, have you got a goal? Have you set yourself? Or you wait until the first event and then assess?
I haven't got a goal except doing my absolute best.
You sure?
I have.
Is there no German you got a target on? Surely.
Maybe will Andy Laufer arrive?
Okay.
Andy, you better come. No, but this I just it's just so joyful. Also, we went to Defiwind last year. I've been foiling for 1 year, and then I went to Defiwind with the foil. On the foil.
Okay.
And I thought, definitely the strong wind, but my 5.5 was, I must be able to do it with the 5.5.
Okay.
And it was tough. Johan Søe they were on 4.8 on their foil, and Nicolas Guillard 4.5, and I was my smallest, it was 5.5, and Johan said afterwards, how did you manage to come through that course? I was totally destroyed afterwards because.
Where did you finish?
I think that the first one was 300 something.
Okay.
But
you went round.
I went around. I didn't want to go back to the shore. I should have done it, but my girlfriend was standing there. I could not bear go back into her and tell her I was not able to do this. So I was fighting for 4 days, and then and then finally we had the day for 5.5. I thought this is perfect. Then Scotty Stallman just exploded in front of me, and Mikkel said afterwards, Mikkel Asmussen, the Danish guy, he said, Finn, this barely wind enough for the Defiwind now. And I said, what? I was full on powered up with a 5.5.
Yeah, that's the difference.
So I need some smaller states, and I actually got that now. No, but it's good fun. And then next year, I'm gonna make this course.
I can honestly tell you, just spending these 5 days with him, I am motivated now because I want to beat him. I'm like, I think my brain just works in weird ways.
It does.
I'm like, I'm gonna try and do some secret training.
No, but it's so cool. It's so fun. It's really fun. Have you tried it, Paul?
Have I tried? No, I haven't. No, because the places where I've been sailing, it's good for Finn, basically.
Yeah.
I live in Geraldton.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a typical day here is 20 to 30 knots, depending on the day. Yeah. It's also a lot of the spots here you launch off the beach, and it's knee high. It's not very deep. Yeah. So to get a foil, you're going to have to wander in a fair bit, and there's reef and But I don't know. I can definitely see the appeal. I just think it was really depending on where you live, the conditions you're faced with. But Geraldton is obviously one of the world's best windsurfing places, and so Finn is the logical choice. Even at Coronations, it hasn't actually been much wind the last 10 days. It's been a bit sad, but at the start of the summer, on a typical day there, it's still I don't know, 60, 70% windsurfers, 20, 30% kites, and just a couple of wingers. So it still hasn't, I think down in Perth, it's a lot bigger, but up here in Geraldton, it still hasn't really taken hold. Windsurfing and kiting still.
I was going to say, I bet you Perth, it'd be interesting to see the scene from when I was there, because Perth is always just a bit too light. And you think,
and the river.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Swan River.
Swan River, yeah. There's
Perth.
And
the last few seasons, the wind's been a bit iffy. So that's another advantage, obviously, for the foiling sports. So no, it's obviously popular, but again, I'm in a bit of a weird bubble here in Geraldton. It's not a great example for the rest of the world.
Again, I put even Coronation in the same thing as Pozo. You know, when you've got good windsurfing weather, it's difficult to beat. I was just looking at Jesper's comment, said, watch out, guys, Finn gets 40% better when the green flag is up. It's very accurate, isn't it? 40% better. It's 39.9. Yeah. No, but interestingly, I have to ask you a question, because you're a good wave sailor. Beat Class Foggett a few years ago.
Yeah.
At the mighty age of 55
we had some.
We don't talk about it. It's like,
no,
don't embarrass me, but no. But so if you had the choice, wave slalom or foil racing.
Wave slalom.
Yeah. So slalom in the waves, like the old school days.
Depending on how long the course is, because it gets so exhausted. We have this from a city down south, 15 kilometers, where we have one go, 15 minutes. It takes 20 kilometers or 15 kilometers. That's really gnarly and fun.
Like a long distance race.
Yeah, it's a long, but we just do that by fun. You just go into
with a fin.
With a fin. Yeah, you can just jump in the water and say, "I go with this one, see how fast I can go." And we actually spoke about that earlier. In the wave sailing, racing, you should not take these upper slalom boards. They're too tough.
Yes,
They're too tough. They are for 3.
No, but if you could have the perfect wave slalom board, there was like a tour doing wave slalom, or there's a tour foil race.
I would go for the foil.
Would you?
Yeah, I would have. I hate the situation around the buoys where people are getting stuck. There's no wind.
No, but I'm talking good conditions.
Perfect conditions.
Yeah.
Am I first?
I'm talking about like Coronation Beach.
Coronation Beach.
You've been to Coronation?
I've been to Geraldton as well. I love that place.
Okay, cool.
I don't like they make the speed tickets. The police can see you when you're going ahead against them. No, but when they're
coming towards you.
Towards them. No. Why is this turning the police car? We didn't know that. Yeah. I learned that. No, but I definitely don't like beach starts. And you must not like beach starts.
I love beach starts.
With these short legs?
I just use a small fin.
Oh. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I think I would go for the foiling. I think I would go for the foiling. Yeah.
Interesting, because Paul has got something on the back burner, but we can't talk about it. But he is maybe organising some wave slalom.
Yeah, but that's cool. And I know a lot of guys would love it. Matteo would love it. Bruno Martino would love it.
Well, it's not for him. This is a local.
Yeah, but they would probably come just because
it's...
They're not allowed. No, but there is a lot of guys who would love to do that.
Yeah.
And I actually said, I've been living in Klipmøller for so many years, since 94. And I said, this is a much better scene. That's a way better scene for slalom than it is actually for wave, for the spectators, because it's like a Colosseum.
Yeah.
You can sit around and just watch this, and it would be an amazing show.
So which spot, sorry?
Klipmøller in Denmark.
Klipmøller, yeah. Okay.
We had some wave events there, and I always said to him, you should do the slalom. That would be going into history, because the scenery there is fantastic, and the possibility for the spectators, it is like being in the Colosseum, because it's half closed and beautiful breaking waves, but not crazy breaking. You can get around them, but you can, depending on it could be really, really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm just too much into fire.
What would be the shape characteristics then? Is that a fin?
Well,
it's more like a round.
Are you talking about for racing?
No, I don't know. I'm just looking at the comment. Maybe I missed. Maybe it was something we were talking about. I missed the.
I will add something to what you just said about the wave slalom, because I might as well put it out there a little bit. But yeah, Ben, as he mentioned, I have been talking to him about potentially organizing a wave slalom event. I feel like there's an appetite for that style of event. And I've just started the process, getting the ball rolling. It's something that I might consider to run in a year's time. So not this season, but next December, because I'm going to need time to get it organized. However, after talking to a few people and sort of getting ideas, I think we have come to the conclusion that it would be best to run races, but on wave gear, do wave slalom in wave gear, because everyone around here's got wave gear. Guys who have slalom gear probably have a wave board kicking around or could borrow one easy enough. And it also makes the racing quite tight because you're all on similar sort of speeds. And it's less, slalom's pretty full on. Like you got to really know what you're doing, especially in the waves.
Just breaking in.
Yeah.
There might be a problem here because what you're forgetting is anyone who races, here's a good example. They're very frigging competitive. So he will find the flattest rock-cut wakeboard. Or it sounds daft, but you might need some sort of, because the old school wakeboards, I remember the guys in Oz were always talking about the Mistral Nash. Is it the Mistral Nash there's a one with a pointy nose? That thing was extremely fast. So I think they had a wakeboard category in Ledge to Lanceling once. And people were trying to find out these old wakeboards because they were the fastest. But it could bring back some old school wakeboards, which is not a bad thing.
For sure. I think Thanks, Finn. Yeah, look, the thing is here, Coronation is an ideal spot for that kind of event, as you can imagine. And also from a media perspective, if you filmed it right, it could be quite exciting. If get 8-man heats, it's really, blasting through the waves out the back, maybe have a pretty short sort of a course that's quite exciting and heat after heat. But I guess we'll find out some of those details. Like you said, I have thought about that. People all of a sudden start finding the fastest waveboard they can find, but maybe we need to think of some sort of framework so people don't start just getting completely unfair advantages. No, I guess so. But the idea I want to have is that people can turn up on their wave gear and feel like they could give it a shot. Because if you go down and some guy's got some custom wave board that's built purely for speed and can't even turn, it's not really the idea.
You have to put a wave ride in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to sort of work that out. But
Would
anyway.
it be running start? Beach start?
Well, at Coronation, I think so, because it's ideal for just the beach. You can just literally plane off the beach. Yeah. So I think that would be visually kind of cool. Yeah, there's no shore break. It's flat. Yeah, it's anyway, something I'll keep everybody informed.
Race like that for sure on a wakeboard on wakeboard
What I'm going to do as well for anyone listening who may be interested, but I've started editing a video. So basically, I'd like to create an example of a race at Coronations, and that way it's something that I can show potential sponsors and other people who might want to get interested, because I need to show them something. You can talk about it, but if you can show them a video with a concept and an example of a race. And I'll try and edit it so it looks kind of nice and appealing and everything. So that's one of my projects over the next few months. I need to find 8 people. I've already got a group of people here who'll happily participate. But as you may know, trying to find 8 windsurfers to film on a windy day, it's like trying to herd cats. They were running around everywhere. But that'll be the concept, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, Finn, if you like the concept and it's something, I'd love to have anyone from overseas. That'd be incredible, because the whole idea of an event from where I'm sitting is not just about trying to beat everyone. Obviously, that's the fun, but it's to create a really fun social event. It has to be fun first and foremost, because if it's not fun, well, people might do it once, they don't come back. But I want to try and create something that can grow each year.
The thing is, for me as well, what is interesting is wave slalom really is probably the board. If you had to design a board for it, it's probably the board that most people should have. If you're gonna that is the board that kind of launched windsurfing.
That would be something,
bump and jump.
Yeah, I know Gaia is making the Bolt, because one of my friends is selling this kind of stuff. I have nothing to do with Goya, but and we tested out different boards, and we just thought that Goya board was so easy to go on the wave sail as a full-on slalom and not spending any energy. And it was fast.
Yeah.
Because it was very chucked under. So you don't hit hard.
It's kind of like the free race boards for a lot of brands.
Totally free race. Yeah. But that would be the same with other brands. But the free race stuff in the waves, that
I haven't thought it all completely through, but in my head I was thinking, if you do end up having these kind of semi-free wavy or free racy boards, you know, I have a category for multi-fins, because if you have a quad and you're racing a single fin, you got no hope. You're just going to get smashed.
But that's a good idea. But that's actually a good way to separate it, because I can't think of any of the multi-fin boards apart from the Big Saxo that would have, like, you know, most of the modernish boards, the more than one fin are not super flat rocket. I guess the tri-fins could be. Some of them are free wave, but you don't want to limit it too much. I think someone said it just before. Speedcoast windsurfing, just do it, and the rest will figure it out. And whatever. It's kind of interesting to see what boards are fast as well.
And people will find some old boards that are really fast. I know that these are from the wave boards from like 10 years ago. The Angular wave one fin board, they are so fast on the going in and out.
The Angular board was good. I think Peel was so fast, comfortable. Had like a lot of V in it,
but so fast, like flying.
Ah, sure. But again, single.
I think that's why you make a good event there, 100%. But how's it going to be? Is it going to be a free state, or is it going to be like based on weather forecast?
Well, probably just set a date, because to organize an event here, you're going to need a few permissions and organization. So I'm sort of thinking maybe like a 4-day event, say a Thursday to a Sunday. You're pretty unlucky in Geraldton if you don't get at least one good sailing day within 4-day period, but it does happen. But the thing is, I thought about that too. If you get unlucky and there's 4 days of no wind, well, I thought you could actually, because it's still a fun event, you know, you have other things going on. There's barbecues and various social things, but you could even have a float and ride race. Like, you know, you set a buoy out there and you literally float and ride on your waveboard out, or there is a windsurf club there that has beginner boards. You just find 4 or 8 of the same board and just tell everyone, this is the board. You can stick your rig on it, and we're just racing those things in 5 knots of wind.
That's good.
Because I know people might go, but you're not planing. But it's like, but if you're with your mates and you're still on a race and there's money up for prize grabs, you're still going to be, it's still going to be fun.
Or you get a big board where you can put 2 people on it. So one has
anything.
No, but as long as there's a little bit of racing and competition, doesn't matter what kind of gear, as long as it's similar, more or less.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's the thing. You've got to just think about everything from 5 knots to 30 knots. And the windsurfing has the gear. It doesn't necessarily have to be planning.
You buy a load of old wave boards or wild boards, and then you like basically draw what board you're going to take before the heat.
Oh, that's interesting.
Lucky dip race. And you're like, I
got the 68 liters. Oh my god,
that could be super fun if you had some old dinosaur boards or some like old school race. But
it's a super cool idea. But the only problem is, as you said, is someone's 100 kilos or someone's 60 kilos, and all of a sudden it's all over the place.
I guess it'd be more like a sideshow race just for fun, where you take the guys in the final and you just go, right, they'd have to do a lucky
There's a lot of races that you can think of.
You'll also have some pulling, no? With the rope.
That's normal.
Pulling.
Yeah, you know, with the rope, pull 2 teams.
Or
some.
What do you call it? Tug of war.
We did that in the Landsland. We had these where you have to pull against the local crate pot fishermen, and the windsurfers actually won, even though they were smaller, because they could keep onto that rope.
But rather than use a rope, you just get a stuck mast. You got to pull the mast apart.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a great idea. Imagine that. That is got 2 teams there. Who can get the mast unstuck? I mean, that was what I was saying to you about Les Lansing. I think we were talking about the other day. Like when Finn used to do it, it's like you say, there's like windsurfers versus the cray fishermen, and there's like arm wrestling.
Yeah.
He's only mentioned that because he won the arm wrestling.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Like I told you, he's competitive.
Sorry, can't help it.
No, there's lots of things. Obviously, there's so many things you can do. So anyway, I'll tell you guys to. I'll ask you guys for more ideas.
Yeah, we definitely spread the word. 100%. I think it's a great idea.
So there we go. Right. Well, foiling. We didn't cover lots of things in it, but plenty more. We're gonna. My plan is. I was going to make a video with Finn about his total 180 switch. So we will be covering it in detail. And I kind of thought just because he was here, we've got the podcast, we've got the forum to do it. I thought I would just sort of give you a little bit of an insight into the backstory. And then we're going to make a video on it and maybe follow his progression in the German championships and maybe trying to beat Blanket Alabao in one race. We'll have to watch this space. The plan is Guy Cribb on the podcast. He's told me I've got a week where he's at home. So you keen for a Cribby podcast, Paul?
Yeah, no, sure. Definitely. I'd like to speak to him. He seems super enthusiastic. Before we wrap it up though. Yeah, that's all right. He's full of stories too from what you've told me. I do have one or two other questions though for Finn before we wrap it up, if that's what you were thinking of. So you basically have a bit of an engineering background, Finn, by the sounds of it, do you? Or
no, I actually.
Oh, you don't.
I actually educated working with handicapped people and kids. So
okay.
That's my education. Okay. So, but regarding the idea with the NoerStick, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I thought you might have had some kind of engineering with a NoerStick because I had a question for you.
No, and the funny thing is that. The funny thing is actually the idea is so old. It was from 88, 87.
Your idea from 88?
My idea with the NoerStick is from 88. The idea of the whole concept was from that time because I was sponsored by North Sales at that time. And every time you had to change the extension, we had some profile buttons with foam inside. And when the camber twisted, they broke. They snapped. And I was like, not again. And then I thought I must be able to do this extension somehow without taking everything apart. And then I started having the ideas and but I never did anything about it at that time because that I was busy racing and I didn't actually have the skills for where shall I actually start. I was like totally blind and just windsurfing, like totally. But I had the idea. I knew it would be possible to make it. And then 7 years ago, I just say, okay, now I'm going to do it. I actually forgot all about the idea for almost 30 years. I said, I have this idea. I have the same problem now. I want to change something. And then I pulled it together. Yeah.
No, it's amazing what you've done. It's super cool. Well done. But I actually had a question, maybe, you might have a thought on it. But when I see a foil, it's obviously pivoting off one axis, essentially, the mast. Is there any innovation that you could see in the future where there might be, say, two foils, like one on the front of the board and one on the back, and it sort of stabilizes? Or I don't know. Can you see anything like that, or is that just too much drag and it just slows everything down? And
I can see a lot of innovation. I can see a lot of it, but I don't have the ideas. But I can see how airplanes are working now, and when you see these, they're not secret, but the American Air Force airplanes or whatever secret, where they're just a one planer. But I don't know. Somebody's probably already working on that within the windsurfing. But it's just no tail, but just one like a boomerang almost.
Oh, okay. So it's not got a rear.
Doesn't have a. And I also think somebody already do that on winging or something. Just one wing.
Yeah. Because when I see the board, the races, the board's doing this, and I'm sort of thinking it feels like it needs something stabilizing that front to keep it tracking.
But that's what the length of the fuselage does. The longer the fuselage you give it, you're more stabilized. But a little bit slower. But the easier it also gets in diving. So it's there's some compromises. But interesting. But I think that foiling, what it has been doing now, the evolution for these few years is come pretty long. Compared to, where the Finn are now, the slalom in fins, it's been taking 20 years or 30 years to get where they are now with the Carpenter and set fins and all those top fins. and the foil has just actually started. So I mean, it's interesting to see where it goes. But what makes me really happy about it is actually I know now I can windsurf until the day I can't stand anymore, because it doesn't take any effort from me in terms of power, muscle power, anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. You know, like you were saying about maybe there should be 2 foils, whatever. But then it might become more stable. But I think it would become a bit more less entertaining.
Yeah, sure.
I like to see them a little bit on the edge, which it'd be interesting.
Like
I have seen there was one designed in the UK, some frigging like Batman thing. Did you see that? It was quite a few years ago, but it was insane. But it was like a car. It was like a boat. It had all these foils on it and stuff, but it didn't look like windsurfing. I think foiling in its current situation with the one actually still looks like kind of wind, still looks like windsurfing. It's got that edge to it. And I think the more stable you make it,
that's fair enough. I was thinking more just for recreation for the people who don't want to be on the edge, just for more cruising back and forth.
No, but it's but that's also why I just need to take it step by step, because when we go in the smaller sails now, we are in control. But then you just want to go this 1 knot faster, then you're out of control, more or less. But another topic is like, for windsurfing, I see a super bright future because of the foiling. I mean, what we're going to experience in the Olympics next year would be amazing. First of all, they always make amazing coverage. They don't have the best commentator, but they might get. But there will be so much good coverage and full-on action. And I see such a bright future, because you can now actually make, and I would tell PWA, please let them go with 900 front wings and wherever, so we can have a regatta in Amsterdam and Copenhagen or wherever, where all the public is, and Red Bull as a part of it, or whoever, Monsters, etc. So it's not like this hidden party for only a little closed club. I think we should really open up, because we have the possibilities now, and I never thought it should come, and we never had it on the Finn like what we have today. And windsurfing, I as mentioned, as Ben said, I did this for free for the kids. I actually done it for several years now, but it's just because of the love of a sport that I'm so happy and grateful that I ever entered, and I just want to have more people getting into this.
You just want to beat Blanca Alabao,
and then beat Blanca Alabao.
But it is interesting, and I said this on the Antoine Albo podcast the other day. I see it going more towards yachting and America's Cup and GP, sail JP, and I don't think that's a bad thing. There's more money that way rather than the beach way, and then obviously the wave sailing, the other stuff is definitely the more the beach side. But I think the more that we angle that top end racing, and whether you like foiling or don't like foiling, I don't think you can't argue that it is definitely entertaining and good racing. It's you've got different lines. You can race in lighter winds. You can handle holes. And there's skill in handling those holes. It's not total luck. You have to really drive. You can gamble on a bigger foil, but then you're going to be slower, or you can gamble on a smaller foil. You might drop off. They're not going to cancel the race. There's certain things going on, and it does mean we are putting ourselves in venues where weren't possible before. And like you say, a bigger front wing to me makes sense to have that option
if they need it. But just a way of making possible starts with 8 knots, because these guys got the technique and the power to pump it up and going.
I mean, Paul, you've watched some racing this year. You've not got a racing background, and correct me if I'm wrong, you haven't watched much racing before. Would that be fair to say?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Ben, because I was just thinking as you guys were talking, when was the Finn slalom, I didn't really log in much, but that's also because you were often thinking, will there be enough wind? That probably, you know what I mean? Like there was that element. Whereas with the foil racing, you're pretty much always guaranteed they're going to be flying around. So, I've actually been pleasantly surprised this year watching the races. I've watched most of the live streams, as much as I could, if I could, and it was, I'm converted to the foil racing from a viewer point. I reckon it's super cool. And it's, as you see the crashes. There's lots of crashes, heaps of crashes, which I sometimes think I am a bit worried that someone's going to get pretty seriously injured one day. But yeah, I mean, it obviously makes it exciting. What do you think about the foil/fin separating that or whatever? I mean, is that the idea or?
I think it's easy for me to say. I said that 2-3 years ago, but for me, it's totally two different disciplines. It's like slalom and wave sailing, or wave sailing and freestyling. It is totally different, and we actually see that now due to no winning fins, except it's extremely hardcore wave fin sailing. So I think they shall do it, and it's obvious. It's unfair to be the guy who's just love fins, but maybe you're the world's best and you cannot compete in that. But I think, honestly, you really have to pick your destinations carefully as an organizer, as a PWA, if you want, because you want to have a success rate on 100 or something close to of the event being held, due to the sponsors who's paying lots of money. And I don't think it, in the long run, I think it would fade out, actually, the fin racing. Because
it'll be interesting to see what happens this year, because from what I've heard, again, all the top racers are quite happy with the foil racing. The general public is a little bit more conflicted. You know, a lot of them are still loyal to the fin. But they still want to watch fin racing, and they want to learn from the guys racing fins. And you know, and that's what I was kind of saying this to Antoine the other day. I think it's like, you've got to remember, and Finn's the same. He's done fin sailing for I don't know how many years. He's got to a top level, you know, and now he's looking for that new challenge, like the wingers, you know, like the wave sailors into winging or whatever. They've reached some sort of plateau. There are a lot of guys who have not reached that in windsurfing and are still like, I've got unfinished business with the fin, with the slalom board, with the whatever. And fin sailing looks more dynamic. When there's wind, 100%. There's spray, the sails moving, the stance just looks better, like, to me. It'll be very interesting to see if our memories are as good as reality, because we will see fin racing next year. I think we're going to see it in Pozo and Furta if those events happen. I think, from what I can understand, again, this could be wrong, but from my understanding, the prize money will stay the same for that event, and then they split it between the fin and the foil, so they don't need any extra money, but the organizer has to obviously want to see the fins and the foils. You will get the option. Again, this is all just the words I've heard. It's not the fact yet. You know, you will probably get the option to race foil and fin. If it's a 5-day event, maybe there'll be 2 days of fin, or 2 days of foil and 3 days of fin, or, you know, whichever. And then you will have 2 champions. And I guess you would have an overall champion. Again, I'll wait for the details on it. And you might only have 2 events on the fin. It might just be Pozo and Furta, if that's the case. It may be. But for me, it will be very interesting, because I think for the brands, it's interesting. There's people still looking at the brands to say, who's got the fastest fin? Who is the fastest, you know, windsurfer in the world on normal windsurfing equipment? But the foil is definitely took a lot more viewers this year. A lot more people are going, okay, you know, even if I don't foil race, it's really watchable. It is like, people watch Formula One. They don't race a Formula One car, you know, and then windsurfers can watch foil racing and never want to pick up a foil if that's their prerogative. I still think it is one of the best races, because you've got that unexpected explosions. It's like, I keep saying it, I've said it a lot, but give me one other race which is free to watch, which has got that much drama, where someone is just going along in the race and for no apparent reason just explodes. It's like Mario, when you chuck the banana skin.
The thing is, what people, that's with everything in life, you remember the good things. And they remember, for the fin sailing, most people remember the battle, Matteo and Antoine Albo, Fuerteventura. Greatest drone footage for a long period, or ever, maybe, no? Following these 2 people battling it out, close up, and this is what we remember. Then we forget about all the restarts, all the races where there's no wind and one buoy, but there's enough in the next one. Then they forget about the wind has shifted 15 degrees, so now the fins can't keep up with the buoys, you have to make a new course, and spending so much time with no racing. And people want to see racing, sponsors want to have results, and racing and media, etc., etc., etc. So I understand that people really want to see the actions that Matteo and Antoine pulled out at that event. But that is unfortunately not the case that often.
I mean, that's quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, that goes with what I'm thinking. But you go, Paul.
Yeah, no, I was just going to comment on Jupster's comment here. The way I see it is, you look at what apparatus, the foil or the fin, where it excels in, and then give them those conditions. So, for example, here at Coronation, waves, shallow, you wouldn't use a foil, you'd use a fin. So I sort of think, put the fin racing in spots that you just wouldn't win on a foil.
What Matteo said? Matteo said to me, or quite a few riders said it. So just do a beach start.
Yeah, make a beach start.
Well, just do a beach start.
Obviously, yeah, exactly. But I can sort of. Well, that's the thing too, because but you know what I'm saying. Like, if you basically look, say, and go, okay, we're going to have a few wave slalom style events or something, and that way it's we've still got the fin stuff going on, but for just about everything else, it's foil, because that element of the excitement with the fins lacking maybe in some other areas would be made up in the wave slalom. And also, if you could have it in locations where the chances of having it are pretty high, like a place like Geraldine or Pozo or I don't know. There must be a few places around the world where you could have it. Oh, maybe Clipmuller, I'm not sure, but a few wave slalom ones.
You should have it also in Maui as a Aloha class.
But the problem is equipment.
Yeah, they had the wave slalom.
The equipment is the biggest problem. Because
what's
for
the problem?
PWA, when they did Supercross, they basically created a new class, and then the Supercross boards come out, which were actually quite user-friendly, fast slalom boards. But then as the competitions went on, they basically turned into slalom boards, and they lost that initial fast, free wavy feel kind of thing. And that's the problem. So if you're going to do wave slalom, if they use their normal slalom boards at the moment, they'd be terrible. The strap, they're dangerous because fins as well. It's like so. There's you almost need to have. I don't know how they would do it with it.
Okay, maybe this is a bit radical.
They were based on free waves for me. It would be great to watch.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. Yeah, sorry, Finn, you go.
No, I was just back in the foiling. I think there are too much people putting energy to put foiling down and lift fin up. It's like keeping something alive. Like, man, we need to keep this alive. Pump it. But fuck, it's not where it was. It was here, and something just took over.
But I disagree on that.
No.
I still think there's a massive generation
racing
that will not foil. Like, it's just not appealing to them.
No, but I was thinking about within the PWA racing.
Oh, okay.
Because we are on the level like.
No, because I think that's the point of that is there are people, a lot of people, and it'd be really interesting next year that really want to watch fin racing, whether they go slow around the jibes, whether it's whatever. And I am super interested on the numbers.
Yeah.
Who watches the foil racing? What are the numbers on the fin racing? Is there any difference?
That's
is there more?
Super
is it as exciting to watch? Does that make a difference, or can people just because they are windsurfers and they're not interested in foiling? Are they just more interested in watching the fin, whether it's better or worse? Are they more interested? Is there more demand? And there's a couple of questions there which I don't know the answer to. I'll be honest.
Restarts.
But again, we have to see it. And I'm excited to watch some fin racing. I want to know who now is the fastest in the world. I don't know.
I think I know.
Who?
Pierre Morifon. Jordi.
See, you don't know though.
Matteo.
Exactly.
But nothing has changed there.
But that's the interesting thing. I think it will be interesting. Like, I am genuinely excited. Do I need 8 stops on a world tour? Probably not. I want to see some windy racing. Pozo and Furta would be totally fine for me. But who's doing the training on the fin if you've still got the competitive on the foil?
That's so funny with the training, because before I got into this foiling, I speak a lot to Johan Sø. Everyone knows this guy. And as he said, Finn, this foiling stuff. And I said, no, Johan, don't do it. Just keep on the fin, and you'll be even better than the other guys that are jumping to this foiling.
Yeah.
Luckily, he didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
I said, Finn, I think it's pretty funny. I keep going on that one. Good job, John. Because that would have been a disaster.
Mark Carolan, as an avid viewer of the Peel Race style events, I don't miss the old days of waiting for conditions, races cancelled halfway through, etc.
I totally agree.
Much more. I agree.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. I totally get it. I'm just interested to see if there are viewers out there, because you see it in the comments, but I know, and me and Paul probably know this quite well, if you have 5 comments of someone being slightly negative or doesn't like something, it feels like a lot of people. In the world, it's just 5 people. And it could be just 5 people. You never know.
No.
You know, you start to think that's the general consensus. If you have 10 to 20 comments, that feels like literally
shut down.
The end of the world. You may as well just call this off. This is, you know, everyone thinks it. But a lot of the people who are happy don't say anything.
No.
So it's very difficult, the internet these days, to know where you're at. And sometimes the loudest voice isn't the majority.
No.
So again, the majority is in the numbers. If the numbers come back next year and we do a Finn race, then a foil race, and it's 2 days and 2 days, and the Finn is getting 2,000, 3,000 viewers live, actual live, and the foil is 1,000, that's it. There's no arguments. It's like for like on the same time. It will be really interesting. I don't think it's going to be like that.
No, but
we might see some sort of. I think there'll be a genuine lot of interest, because I want to know.
I would say Gran Canaria is obvious. It's going to be super interesting if they have waves and they do this slalom, because it's going to be also a lot of crashes, and people like to see crashes as long as people are not getting hurt too badly. And that would be a spectacular one. And Bjørn Dunkerby is he knows this, and that's why he put it off, because he knows how spectacular it is. He's been doing that race so many times, and I agreed. I would love to see a Finn race there, because that's on another limit. It's not ordinary Finn sailing on a fjord or somewhere. It's really, they are guys on their best on the toes.
Well, Mark in the comments, I think windsurfers will watch Finn or foil. We're just happy watching any windsurfing. John Blackwell says, I like to watch wave sailing and foil racing, not bothered about Finn slalom. Interesting. Agree with Mark, says Speed Quest windsurfing. I will even watch kite stuff. Oh, Jesus Christ. Get out of it. Blocked.
But with this idea, just with the Finn as well, we can sort of open our minds as to what's possible with racing and stuff too, because like this idea I have, it's a coronation. I don't know if it'll get to that, but I have this kind of dream that the event is a success where you do actually end up having world-class racers turn up and race on wave gear with everybody else. Because imagine you see Maciek on a wave sail and a production wave board, and you think, well, how would he go? I don't know. He might still smoke people, but maybe he won't. Like all of a sudden, you know, I find that concept exciting too. You know, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, I don't know. It's there's a lot of different ways of going about these things, but anyway.
I think that would be good for the competition if Ricardo as well is coming. Ricardo is like flying on
that's the thing.
I'm going to go back to one of the first conversations I had with Mr. Van Bellen here, because he was talking to me before Pose Over, I think before we were doing any of this stuff, and he was like, why don't they just put on some mini wave slalom races with the wave gear when there's not enough waves, you know, like when there's a few waves around, but it's not competing. And it's true. Like you think if you want to put on a show and you want to impress the organizer, but then the windsurfers for years have been like, well, we're not doing that unless we get paid, which, you know, I get that. But we're now at a stage where we can't do that.
No,
we need to be doing promotion. We need to be keeping event organizers happy, you know, and that means not selling out, but giving more, which I know a lot of windsurfers out there, we're giving everything. Well, you are, but the problem is we're a very small sport. And if we want organizers, we need to really give them something. So, you know, and like I can see you even just looking at, Ricardo.
But I know the guys
video,
so fast.
and you're on their normal wave gear. It's all there, and it's just for fun.
But they would be fighting out.
For sure, they're 100%. All competitive monsters.
I think Ricardo is probably one of the fastest on the
He's
wakeboard.
Super fast, man.
But also Gil.
Galito's quick. Marino's
Gil.
Marino's quick. Exactly.
Like
that would be cool. And then,
and I mean, I don't look. Maybe this is not completely not feasible or realistic, but imagine you had a slalom tour where the overall winner was the person that won the foil race in Japan, the Finn race in the Fuerteventura, or foil race in Fuerteventura, and the wave slalom event in a place like Coros. Like that. It's but they'd have to use Finn there, and maybe they have to use a production wave, or maybe the rule is you have to use a production wave board. People will go, oh, but it's not. But it's like it's not. Yeah, I know. But the thing is, I'm just trying to think outside the box a bit. People will just be like, oh, but it's not as fast as slalom board. But I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, who cares? All you're really worrying about is the close racing and the unpredictability. If everyone's on wave gear, I'd have zero idea who would win. I'd have no idea.
I totally agree. I honestly really like the idea. Like as a windsurfing fan watching, I love it. As a commentator, I like it. I can imagine commentating on it being, pretty exciting. Again, that's when I think to myself, that's why we need to be doing this stuff, because as a windsurfing fan, that's what I would love to see. It'd be interesting. And again, would you get the right results? But you would find out who's got the fastest production wakeboard.
Yeah.
And maybe someone's looking for that.
You have to be a figure eight, huh?
I think so.
Figure eight.
Oh, sure.
Down gets a bit hard.
No, but on wave sailing, it would be super good.
Would it though?
Yeah, it would. I think so.
Figure eight, it was not very easy to overtake.
First of all, it's so hard to put out buoys in big waves.
Oh, figure eight. Yeah, figure eight makes sense. I'll tell you why. Because when you sail at your local spot, you're not doing downwinder slalom racing. You're going in and you're going out. So which board can do that the fastest?
And you have to find a flat route.
It's difficult on wave kit, because you can't have the wind shifting. You've got 8 people.
Yeah, but they're not. You're all moving.
1, 2, 3. You could do 3 boy slalom, because you've only got to put 2 weight boys in the.
Put so much weight on those. They're gonna be. I mean, now we're just going out for big waves.
But you want them out. Yeah.
I think in Aloha it was also Maui was also 2 boys.
Yeah, there's all solutions to it.
Or jet ski. Moving boy.
But,
good long course out.
Jet ski.
Good long course.
Jet ski, and it just moves.
Yeah.
Just stays there until they're round the first mark, and then
moves. And the first one, you don't know where to go.
Yeah. I mean, I always stay stationary.
But yeah, like I said, I think with a blank canvas, and you just think about all the possibilities that you could do. I see that we can expand the parameters of what's possible. And that's one of the. Yeah.
But back to you when you're also talking about this slalom and the overall winners in slalom. I'm really missing out an overall winner within the
wave slalom. Yeah.
Freestyle slalom, and I also know who's going to win and who's going to be second. Probably it's going to be Amado's first, Tony France second, or something like that. But I really missed that, and it was like that in the early days. It was like we had a slalom. There was also a world champion, and then there was a wave, but there was also and there was a course racing, but there was also a world champion in that one. But the overall, and that was of course,
the thing is, you never used to have specialists, really, did you?
No,
everyone did everything. That's kind of what I was thinking this the other day when you were talking about your freestylers. Now freestylers just do freestyle, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because there's less money in the sport, but they're also pigeonholing to a really niche side of it. Whereas back in the day, even when it was big, they're doing slalom, wave, course racing.
Yeah. I mean, Antoine Albaut did freestyle.
Doing everything, which is kind of interesting how the sport's gone. Like Pollicow was probably one of the guys that did it, but he was doing slalom in the early days. And then before he went really, I'm just doing wave now. But he did freestyle.
Imagine also have the indoor, like the one you want. No? Having one event that's like totally out of comfort zone as well.
Yeah. It's good to push people outside the comfort zone, like a wild card event where, maybe the rules aren't perfect. Maybe it does. And embracing that side of it, not like, it's unfair because of this, it's unfair. Just embracing it. just for the sheer outreach of the media. And I know it's still easy for me to say because I'm not competing fully, but I think when I was competing, that's the sort of thing that I loved. Just something totally random, like out, like you say, and maybe someone's board fits it better, maybe someone's equipped, but at the same time, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, I think. Interesting.
No, for sure. I just want to respond to Pen here. It says the risk to me of the wave gear is too easy to control. You have to be on the edge of control to be fun. Yeah, and I agree. Like obviously, you know, from a spectator. Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. You know, obviously, the concept for this wave slalom thing is that it's in a spot with waves, and that's obviously the unknown factor. You know, a set can come and just break right in front of the competitors, and it just throws them all out. You know, so
but you've also got to remember when what he's talking about is someone going wave sailing nice and comfortable. If you're in a race, you ain't taking your 4.7. You're taking your 5.3.
Exactly.
You know, you're not going on your 4.2 cruising. You're going 5.0, and that's the difference. So you're like on the edge.
You would be.
There was someone that made a comment. Yeah, well, that's right. You could do all that sort of stuff. There was someone that commented before. I just thought it was funny. Is that you had to rig up on the beach first and then sail out. That's part of the race.
I thought that was this one is the thing. Then this one is...
yeah.
I'm good for that one. The winner wins one of those.
Yeah, but anyway, I think there's, you know, rounding up on this topic, I think there's definitely an appetite for mixing racing and waves. That's where, from where I'm sitting, I think Ben and I are pretty much on the same page with that. And from you know, obviously
they've made
barriers.
They've made barriers. Everyone, because there's always excuses. Like
it's like,
that's the problem. Like, you know, we're watching, I'm commentating, I've got all this. You listen to people at home, they want to see it. But when you say it to people, all the racers agree. They're like, yeah. But there's always some reason they can't. Like, again, not having to go to them, but there's too many barriers because they're scared that they're not going to have the gear, that the venue will suit some. And it's like, if we don't just have someone who goes, we're doing it, it won't ever happen.
Well, that's extra motivation for me to get on top of this one.
You want a dictator.
I have said it for a long time. Well, the problem is, and I don't want to say this too loud, this is on obviously a podcast, but I fully believe, and I'm probably going to get shot, I'm going to lose my job here, but I feel like we need a dictator in the PWA who calls the shots and everyone just goes, okay. Because there's a lot of rider power, which is good to a certain extent, but I feel the riders should be like an advisory. They should just be used as advice, but then they don't have to be, the advice doesn't have to be taken. Because the problem is, if you're doing voting and it's all voted by brands and riders, you're not going to probably change much because everyone's doing well at the moment, or the guys that are doing well at the top, they have the most vote in power and the most persuasion. So then nothing changes. We see it with race committees in the racing. Okay, we're going to change the course. Everyone's fucking going mental, you know, and it's like, it's very difficult to be able to change when you're in a very democratic organization, which sounds, maybe I'm some sort of like Hitler or something, I don't know. But I feel like sometimes you kind of have to sort of go, right, we're going to have to do that. And everyone's just got to be uncomfortable and we adapt. Again, it might favor certain people, and that's the problem. There's always going to be a problem with change or doing something like that. So then with the system we've got at the moment, I feel like they're doing their best and they are changing more than they ever have done. And they're definitely open to doing stuff. And we're seeing it in the waves as well with the IWT joining the PWA. That has changed, and that's been a really hard, and there's problems with all of it. But it's more exciting for the viewer, you know, and there's a real big problem there with fairness versus moving forward. And it's like, how do we...
I would like to be that dictator. I'd be perfect for that. First of all, I would dictate that people should be allowed to use a weight vest. That would be my first
I tell you
thing.
what,
And then I'll say, no, but I think it's so important because we're losing out talent.
I agree with that
totally, and
I'm one of the light people.
Yeah, Sebastian Kornum is maybe one of the best examples because he's 70 something and he's still fighting sometimes in the slalom finals. But the thing is, you should enter like you do with all your gear. This is your sail, this is your board, and this is the weight vest.
Like jockeys.
Yeah. This is the weight vest. I don't know anything about jockeys.
Jockeys, they weigh the jockey and then they have weight to weight them up to a certain weight. Okay. So they're all the same weight.
Okay. But I think you should just you should say, okay, I'm going to compete this year with this weight vest. And it's not like you're going to be able to take it off. You have to use it every single race. It's not going to be now it's going to be light. Now it's going to be heavy. You take
Everyone can take a weight vest.
Everyone should be able to do it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but what about... Yeah, okay.
We used that weight vest in the old days, and it was like night and day because a lot of this gear was hard to trim in. And you find, I put a little bit more weight on. Suddenly I can just control my 7.8 or 7.2 or whatever, and it just hits the gust. And this is my weight for my gear when you trim in.
It is interesting
I think honestly, it should be like a thing that people should do. They can do it or don't. It doesn't make the jibes easier. I would say now on the foiling thing where you don't hit any waves. On a fin board, it's really tough.
Catapulting on a foil with a weight jacket.
Yeah, but you can put on weight in many ways. You can use, these Australian guys are making this phenomenal carbon, something that sharks can bite through, and it's heavy and it's good for foiling it. You can't cut through it. I think they're going to announce it now, but that is a full suit weight vest, and also Antonio Bono mentioned something about that.
But what about weight category? You don't think I agree with you. Like Sebastian Kornum is a very good example. You say, is it big enough? It isn't big enough because no one can be bothered about racing. I'm not bothered about racing PWA or even at national level. I'm getting beat by guys that are not as good a sailor as me, but they go faster because of their weight. If I stuck on some weight, I would probably equal. But if I raced against people my own size, I might not be the fastest. I don't think I would be. Tatty Franz is a good example. When he was 78 kilos, he was so fast. But compared to the top guys, he was having to push just so on the edge, whereas the big guys were kind of cruising.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've explained this, and Matt Checker's his kind of counter argument to this is like, well, you just can't be a slalom sailor. You don't see midgets playing basketball.
Yeah, but that's not the
but then I see people like Kornum, who is one of the best racers in the world, and if it was down to weight category, and yes, taller, skinnier people might have a bit of an advantage, but at least it's a much more level playing field than trying to compete against 100 kilos Amado Greasebyke or something.
But I think if they enter from first regatta, this is my weight vest, I'm going to use it the whole year. Then you use it in all races. I guarantee you get much better races and you get levelized out. So
I want to see who's the best under 80 kilos. I genuinely think that's a good weight.
Are you 99?
I'm 81. But I think under 80, like 78, Sebastian Kornum, down to 70, there's a lot of people in that category. And if you're under 70, you can make your way up to in the 70s. And if you're 81, 82, you could probably make your weight down. You have to have somewhere, in that range. Because if you're 85, you can make your way up to 95. You know what I mean? You can come up.
Benny, I was just imagining the weigh-in for these races. They're like boxing. It'd be like Betty hasn't eaten for about 10 days. He's like 60 kilos to get in the under, the 60 and under division, and then just eats like a cow for the next 24 hours.
I genuinely would be excited to know who's the world champion under 80 kilos. I genuinely want to know. I mean, I'm not a quick sailor, so I'm not saying this for me, but I know.
I think you are saying this for you, Benny.
No, but it's for my mindset. Is like, as an 80 kilo guy, and I've said this lots of times, I want a hero. I'm not being rude to Antoine Albo. He's not my hero. He's too big. I can't relate to him. So I'm not following him for his tips or his stuff. I'd be following more someone like Sebastian. And if he was the world champion at that weight range, I bet you it's a whole new level of interest in that person, and it builds them up to a point where at the moment, how much demand is he in worldwide? Probably not a lot. If he starts to become the under 80 kilo, the lightweight world champion, people are like, fuck, okay.
I like it. I like it.
There's a lot of people who are out there, Asian guys, you know, they're notoriously smaller build. You know, there could be a whole new market there and an interest, because like you say, you thrive off going racing. Yes, it's okay racing in the middle of the pack, but if you're one of the best lightweights and you know you're getting beat by heavier guys because they're heavier, it is demotivating to a point that you can't do anything about it. You've raced everything, but you just haven't got the
It's
speed.
not like when you're heavy, you're fast. It has to be people with the same technique. The heavier one is faster.
Yeah.
But there can be a lighter guy that's faster than a heavy one, because it's just better technically.
Yes, for sure.
So technically wise, it's only when you get that same level that the heavy guy will always be faster.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So you're getting beat by someone who could be a little less technical than you, but because they're heavier, they're faster. And that's frustrating. I know that feeling. It's like, I mean, I'm definitely not fast for my weight. Tati Franz, Ricardo, these are good examples of people who are fast for their weight. Ricardo is fucking fast for his weight. Swifty back in the day was pretty quick for his weight, for his build. You know, Kunum again for his weight, he's really quite.
Could be good fun.
Tati was probably the quickest that I remember.
We can make it in Sagres.
I did think
this summer.
I honestly thought
unofficially world championship under 80.
It's interesting, but just to do it a one-off competition. I would be interesting to see if you advertised it a year before, drummed it up. I'd be interested to see how many people you'd get entering, because there's not many people in the ring at the moment.
No, I think you'll get
Benny. Yeah, Benny, if you're going to enter the PWA under 80 kilo division, I'm all for it.
I'm commentating.
I want to see it. I reckon you can commentate.
Yeah, no.
The only issue with that too, Benny, is wouldn't it be? It's hard enough to organise a normal event, let alone throwing in extra divisions. Do you think that that's going to add complexity to the organisation of events?
So I've talked about this a lot, thought about it a lot. I think the minimum you need to do is have the weight category within the race, which is not the fairest way to do it, because you don't know who goes against who. But at least you should know. Like, let's say Sebastian Kunum weighs in at the PWA weigh-in, and he's under 80 kilos. He's a lightweight. So on the results, it tells you which one of the lightweights.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Like 20.
Or you have to have your weight put in. So everyone's weighed at the weigh-in, and you write the weight down, and that is part of the results, because at least start to get people's brains. If there's patterns, I mean, I could do it. I could literally just do it.
That's a good idea, Benny. I like it. You don't have to create any separate categories, and
it's not the best way because you're not going head to head, but at least it would be a start. And then if you really saw the differences and people started getting recognized for it, you do get that extra bit of motivation.
Kind of like, Teddy tried out being on Finn, and then Jimmy as well, on Finn, who's going to be the fastest, even the could be
have the Finn category as well. Who's the Finn world champion? Who got the most points in the Finn, even if they came 10th?
I think it's going to end up a little. I mean, it used to be like that to probably a bigger extent. When I was growing up longboard racing, I was a lightweight, and it was an 80 kilo thing. I think that's probably where my brain is at. And there was always a guy who was a heavyweight, but he was right on the edge. And in light wind racing, he was like, and then it'd be the weigh-in, he'd be like, hey, fuck, he's not heavy enough. And he'd be like, oh shit, I'm 78. I'm eating all the pies at the thing. But it was always a funny one. There we go.
Cool. No, it's lots to talk about. There's never ending with windsurfing, isn't it? You think it's a simple sport, but there's a lot going on.
That's the beauty of the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's super good. Super good.
Right, we're going to see if there's any wind. I think there might be enough to go foiling.
This new foil I'm going to try. I have this new foil.
We're going to go and check the foil out.
Are you all fired up for foiling now, Benny? Or
you know what? And I'm genuinely saying this. I am a person that you know, once you get around people that are doing it, I can easily get motivated. I like all the toys. If I'm here on my own and no one's foiling, am I going to be super motivated? No, but my inner instinct to me is racing. I've grown up racing, Olympic racing, all the racing. So as soon as there's some competitive edge or a challenge, which is why if you look at the channel, I always set myself some sort of challenge. I need those little challenges. I feed off them.
Yeah.
And it helps, you know, give me some benchmark to head to or whatever. I like it. So now I'm like, my new benchmark is this old fella.
I just want to beat him.
Yeah.
I like it. Cool.
I'll be back in April.
All right. Let's wrap it up. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Mr. Finn Noer, Mr. NoerStick. If you want to support Finn,
please.
buy a NoerStick. Yes. And we'll see. We're going to go and check out his foil. What is it? Some titanium carbon?
Yeah, some new thing. It looks like something from space. Really, yeah. Let's check it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, and if you are tuning in now, this is the end of the podcast. Obviously, you can rewatch it, it'll be on the channel. But we're going to try and get Guy Cribb, who is a self-confessed wing-a-ding-dinger right now, and he is loving it. He's going to talk to us about the crossover, but we're also going to talk to Guy about his early years because, I mean, I grew up racing with Guy as the top guy. Like in the UK, he was the man to beat. He has long hair down to his fucking arse crack, and he had all the women, and he was longboard racer. I remember him lapping me once on a Fanatic Mega Cat. I was like this young grommet. I was like, wow, that dude. It's quite funny, man. Like I've known Guy for so long. My sisters used to be like, "Oh my god, this guy," and he's still going now. He's like some sort of old playboy, isn't he? What is he? Must be cracking on. Must be getting over the hill. But he's still going strong. I've seen him in Brazil. So anyway, we're going to get Cribby for sure on the podcast. He's got some good stories, and he might be in his house. And I've been to his house, and his house is the most insane collection of the weirdest shit you have ever seen in your life. I am not joking. It's like going into, I don't know what they're called. Those weird, it's like, let's say there'd be like some stag on the wall, then there'd be some random like fish with horns, or then there's like a blow up blooming sheep, and just some the most artwork from somewhere else. And
a blow up sheep.
I don't know. I'm just saying there is the most random stuff in this house you have ever seen. So if it's from his house, we should get him to give us a little tour around. He's got like artwork from Brazil, somewhere from Thailand, some place he got one. You know, it's just bonkers.
Well, we can have a video, call it Guy's Crib, and it just goes around his place.
Hey. I can see a meme coming.
What's that?
All right, boys.
Cool. Thanks for chatting. That was good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Will,
talking to you. Nice.
Yeah. You too, Finn.
The challenge.
Thanks, guys.
Are you hitting the button?
Oh yeah, I'm doing it. I forgot about that. I'm just sitting here enjoying myself. Hold on a second. Where are we? Great, guys. I'll see you very soon.
See you, buddy. Ciao.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards or a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.